What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 1037 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic Tuesday. I am here with my guest co-host for the day. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis Actors. My name is Olivia Dasovic, and I am the community manager here at Timcast.
And it's just you and me today. So I reached out, and everybody was busy.
I know, and honestly,
so much
to
fun.
not make us a priority is actually kind of disgusting.
Was it last Tuesday or Thursday we had a full panel?
Last
Thursday? I think it was Thursday.
Was it Thursday?
It was fun.
Yeah, it was, because Brandon was here Monday, and then Tuesday we had Tate, and then Thursday we had both of them.
Yes, and it was so much fun.
It was so much fun, and look, you can be fun,
People are busy.
We spend enough time together as it is. So it's not as fun to look, it's fun.
Plus, the way we talk in our private life is different from this.
So different than this.
So it has to be you have to adjust for podcast speak.
And when other people are here, it's somehow easy. Also, guys, I did purple in my hair. I know it looks kind of pinky with the lighting in here, but I did do my purple hair for you guys as promised. So
I don't even remember you making the secondary bet.
I did it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
I bet chat.
What was the bet?
That if they got the 3 crisis parties, I would, instead of leaving it to all wash out, I would do another color, probably purple.
Okay.
And they were like, do it. And I was like, all right.
Do you like the purple better than the pink?
You know, I like the initial purple better, and I like the later pink better. So like the pastel version that everybody saw, I really liked that, the pastel pink. The purple, I mean, it's a little vibrant, but it's darker, and so it almost looks not even natural, but it looks more
natural.
You know, almost like it just kind of fades well into my hair. It's not as it doesn't stand out as bad, though in the sun you can really tell. But I like it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not dyeing my hair for crisis parties, but I will happily take them. If you stayed for the post-credit crisis party yesterday, we did get the 3, so we did set that one off.
And you're allowed.
manually.
You know what? I will give you guys this. I did tell Brett that he was not able to dye or bleach his hair. Really, is what it was before our wedding.
Yeah.
That was kind of the deal. Now it's all on him. So don't blame me anymore if he says he won't do it.
I'm not doing it.
I have given him the okay. Wedding pictures are forever. And the last thing I needed was wedding photos with blonde Brett. As much as I fell in love with blonde Brett, don't get me wrong. But
when we met,
you were growing out the blonde. You had really long hair, and you were trying to grow it all out so you could cut it all off at one time.
Well, I didn't want to have frosted tips.
But when we were
accident.
talking before I came out here, you did have blonde hair.
I will say, however, so we're watching. I'm making Olivia watch this show called Sue Thomas FBI.
I love it.
I knew you love it.
It has a dog.
It's got a dog. So, and in it, because it was set in the early 2000s, there is a character who's he becomes a confidential informant, and in true early 2000s fashion, you know he's a bad guy because he's got spiky, tipped blonde hair, and he just kind of looks like he escaped from a Limp Bizkit concert, and I love that. I love that for him, but it doesn't really work for me. So, guys, I hope you are all having a fantastic day today, and you know what? You should subscribe to the channel. You know, I'm going to switch it up here a little bit. I usually have more of a set intro, but you should subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Remember to share the episodes and the segments out with your friends and your family and your loved ones, the people in your life that you both love and hate. The more people that you share our show with, the faster the channel can grow. You should also go in the comment section of some of this stuff, and you should argue with people about it, because let's face it, that's what it's all about, right? Get people talking in the comment section. That way we can increase our engagement and the show can grow. That's part of my master plan for all parties involved. You should go ahead and do that. So what are we getting into today? Well, I switched up our main topic as the morning went on because I wasn't sure if I was going to cover this because I figured we might get into it tomorrow, but the Michael Jackson biopic entitled Michael is blowing up right now on X because it has a very, very, very low score from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes. And as you guys always know, when the critics hate something, it usually means that the audiences are going to love it. So we're going to go into a little bit with that. We're going to talk about the opening box office projections, the low score, why we think that might be, a couple of other things. Maybe just have a bit of a discussion about what Michael Jackson means for America. I think it's a relevant discussion to have because I think he's indicative of a much different time in America, perhaps one when we were more united as a country. So we'll talk about that. We're also talking about Ruby Rose and Katy Perry because there has been an article unearthed resurfaced that was written by, not by Katy Perry, by Ruby Rose in 2011 that sheds a far different light on her recent accusations against Katy Perry than what her claims recently may have indicated. So we'll get into that. We are also going to talk about a gentleman named Nick Morton. And if you don't know who that is, I wouldn't blame you. He was a writer. He was, actually, I said that. A writer and a producer and an executive in Hollywood who, because of the fall of the industry, went from working as an executive and as a writer on big projects to working construction. And I thought the article written about it was long, but very, very interesting to kind of preface and show you just where Hollywood is compared to just 10 years ago. So we will talk about that. We're also talking about the fact that the Swifties are doing what they always do. They take the wonderful people of the world, like my wife Olivia, and they twist them into evil, maniacal villains.
No, they make us all look bad.
Who attack people for
They
no
make
reason
us
at
all
all.
look bad, even if we aren't the ones that attack.
Exactly. So we'll get into that. We got some other stuff. If you are ready, we will go ahead and get going. Also, guys, let's get to 2 crisis parties today. I feel like 2 is good. 3 makes sense.
One for each of us.
One for each of us, right?
Yeah.
So if you are ready, we can go. Are you ready?
Born ready.
Let's go ahead and get started then. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So this weekend, we will see the release of the upcoming Michael biopic, of course, about Michael Jackson, who is an absolute legend worldwide, but a product of America. And in my mind, a representative of a more cohesive time in American culture, but he became more controversial as the years went on, given tons of allegations. And now he is being controversial again, as his biopic has a absolutely low critic score of just 27%. I believe it's actually, since I saw this, gone up to 32%. Maybe you can check that if you want. But on Rotten Tomatoes, it has gone up. It went up to 32% at one point. And people were starting to ask, why is it that this biopic has this score? Well, one of the reasons that is being stated by people in the comments is that they do not address the allegations of abuse that obviously have followed Michael Jackson around for years and years and years. But instead, we're going to go through some of these reviews and we'll talk about it and we'll see what it means for the culture, because this was directed by Antoine Fuqua, who of course did The Equalizer and Training Day, and was written by John Logan, who did Gladiator, Any Given Sunday, and Skyfall, which are all, of course, major blockbuster successes at the theaters. And it's starring Jafar Jackson, who is the nephew of Michael Jackson. And from everything that I've seen, regardless of what people seem to feel about the movie, I've seen almost universally high praise across the board for Jafar Jackson's performance as Michael Jackson, saying that he basically becomes Michael Jackson in the film, right? So here's the other thing to take into account before I get into some of these reviews. Whether critics like it or not is almost irrelevant, because it is tracking high at the box office, looking at between $85 and $105 million this weekend just domestically, which would make it the highest opening for a biopic ever, with Oppenheimer doing $82 million at the box office in its opening weekend. But I saw this review from a place called the Holophiles. I don't know what that is. I've never
Gotta
seen.
be really careful with that one.
It's not right. It's not Helicron, but let's listen to what they had to say for it in this tweet here. It says, Michael is an extraordinarily sanitized, overly audience-friendly musical biopic. Oh, heavens forbid.
Okay, the
if
musical
it's
part,
audience-friendly.
I get. Honestly, the musical part, valid for hating that. Totally valid.
It's about Michael Jackson.
I know, but
That
I'm
makes
still
no
gonna say.
sense.
I'm
No.
still gonna say. Nope. I'm gonna give it to him.
So it says it says an overly audience-friendly music biopic that makes Bohemian Rhapsody look like a complex, nuanced character study. With the dramatic depth of a Wikipedia article, the film introduces but fails to even remotely explore fascinating aspects of Michael's life, including his loneliness, body image issues, and fixation on childhood. The story never offers an understanding of what drives Michael Jackson to become the king of pop and have a career beyond his family, and is far more interested in playing it safe and playing the hits, which are superbly recreated. Jafar Jackson bears an uncanny resemblance to MJ, and nails the body language and voice of the king of pop, but he's given disappointing little dramatic work to do by the screenplay that paints him as an infallible protagonist. An excellent impersonation from Jafar and iconic songs can't save the biopic from feeling like the product of a creative team tearing terrified to approach even the most vulnerable or difficult aspects of the complex leading character's life. So I think the number one thing to point out here is that this movie ends. I guess I don't know if this is a spoiler. If like the time period the movie
it's
ends
out there.
in
It's out there.
is a spoiler, but I think it's fair to at least point out to people. So this movie ends in 1987, just as Bad is coming out.
Yep.
And I did see a tweet, and I think we both saw that Christian
we
Toto
did. Yeah, he
retweeted it.
retweeted
That
it.
was, let me see if I can pull it up here. I thought that was really interesting, where it says basically, Michael ending in 1989, he corrects it and says 1987, with the release of Bad is like ending an OJ biopic with him winning the Heisman.
No, literally. Like, look, if you're going to do a biopic, like, I don't know, they should have done his whole life. If they're going to do a biopic.
Okay, so a part 2 is reportedly in production or in pre-production.
So what, are they going to talk about the allegations and the drugs and everything?
The point would be in part 2 would obviously enter a more tumultuous time in his career.
I don't get, I guess I kind of understand, but at the same time, I mean, it probably won't happen if all the ratings are so bad for this one. Now again,
if it makes money, it won't matter. And right now, like I said, it's tracking extremely high with, between $85 and $105 million. It looks like it's going to do really well at the box office, and the critics don't really matter in that regard.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how the audience is going to rate it, right? Because if it does get rated very poorly, even if it makes money, are people going to go see the second one if they don't like the first one?
I mean, I think the audiences will enjoy this movie. So and I'll tell you why. Well, first I'm going to read this tweet here. This is from somebody else. It says Rita MJ biopic era. So do of that what you will of what her account is.
In her biopic era.
It says, go read those reviews. Go read them yourselves. None of them are talking about the movie. They're talking about the lack of mention regarding the allegations. All this when they've been made aware that a part 2 is coming and that no allegations existed in 1988. Now, again, the stuff about a potential sequel is up in the air.
Right.
I've seen some stuff saying that there is a sequel potentially in production. I don't know whether it will end up coming to fruition. But here's the thing. I don't have a problem with them making a movie like this with somebody at the level of fame of Michael Jackson. I'm inherently anti-musician biopic. But do you think it should more as a joke than anything else?
Do you think it should be a two-parter? Or if they're going to do a biopic, you do think it should be a two-parter?
So I have no problem with people wanting to go. So basically, the critics want you to go and see this movie, right? As it's almost a black pill to go and talk about the allegations later in life and what his image became later on. And again, people come down on all sides of the aisle when it comes to those allegations. There is a large percentage of Americans who don't believe that any of it is true. There's also a large percentage of Americans who have used Michael Jackson as the litmus test for like, look, I can ignore whatever with famous people who make art that I like. Okay? A lot of people can do that with Woody Allen movies. People can do that with all sorts of things. It does not matter what they may or may not have done in their private lives. He is representative of a time in America when monoculture reigned supreme, and Michael Jackson was perhaps our greatest export to the rest of the world. Now,
they compared this to, of course, O.J. Simpson. Would you agree with that comparison? Because
no.
Okay, so would you say that?
I don't think that I think that Michael Jackson's level of fame prior to those allegations are far greater than O.J. Simpson's level of fame post his allegations. So O.J. Simpson was an extremely gifted athlete. He was even supposed to be in the Terminator movie, from what I understand. But he was not anywhere near the level of fame of Michael Jackson.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair, right?
So,
but I do think it does have the connotation of like, yes, he still went on to have a successful career, but one of the things when I think Michael Jackson, I think Thriller and allegations. Okay, those are the first two things that come to mind.
Thriller, Bad, We Are the World.
You're also in a different generation than me. So if you're marketing this to...
They're not marketing this to you, though. They're marketing this to... This is being marketed to people my age and perhaps older.
All right, we have something here from Corey Anderson. I survived and I am high AF. Get ready for unhinged super chats. OC, do you have the date for the Harper's Ferry event? I could not find it on their website. Corey, I responded to your DM, so you should have those dates.
You're like trying to not put that out there right now. Like,
I mean, yeah, like it just depends. Like Corey, we kind of know you, I guess. And also he's local. I know he's local. So I did DM you because you asked me about it, and I did respond to you, but I would say that Yeah, it's not the same thing, but I get the principle of saying that ending the OJ one on winning the Heisman and just ignoring all the bad stuff.
That will be what he is most known for. Michael Jackson will be most known for his art, despite the allegations. OJ Simpson will be most known for his alleged crimes that he later kind of admitted to, but not really later, and less his football
he was found
career.
liable.
There's plenty of people my age, perhaps even, who are like, I didn't even know he was a football player. What I remember is, I mean, they do, but they're like, what I remember is if the glove don't fit, you must acquit.
See, and I think of Heisman and then that, which is weird because my introduction to him was more football related just because I grew up in a football family, and so that was my introduction to him. However, I don't know, I don't really see the I guess I see the comparison, but I don't see Michael Jackson didn't, unalive anybody, right? So maybe that's kind of where it goes astray here. But I will tell you guys, in this vein of conspiracies when it comes to allegations, I will quickly tell you guys my favorite story of all time, which is the time I was on an airplane traveling alone for the first time at the ripe age of 17 years old. And I was going to Texas to visit family when I was next to this woman who starts talking to me randomly. She's like, what are you doing? I'm doing homework, right? And we will get this 20 after. But I was doing homework. I was a senior in high school. This woman starts to go on a 45-minute tangent, it's a 2-hour flight, about how OJ was framed by the mob. And
that's awesome.
Dude, 45 minutes.
That's hilarious.
And then proceeds to then tell me that she is a therapist. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And I tell her how I'm going to visit my mom's family. And my mom had just passed away a few months ago. And she goes, well, I should show you my granddaughter who does AT&T commercials. I was like, what kind of therapist are you, ma'am? It was very unhinged. It was a very unhinged flight for me. Because I've heard a lot of theories. I heard a lot. Okay, first of all, it was my first time traveling alone, too. So my first experience alone on a plane. And this is what happens to me. And I was so confused. So I had mentioned, we're studying the OJ case. That's what I said, because that's what we were studying in Law and Order, whatever it was, Law and Justice or whatever. And she just goes on and on and on about this whole theory. And I'm just sitting there silent, just trying to work on my homework. That was insane.
There was a guest on IRL, and I can't remember who it was, that was going on about OJ being framed.
Dude, I mean, there's a lot of theories.
I don't remember who it was.
But I'd never heard the mob one before. That one was new. I've heard a lot of they were framed by other people. I see here we have two 20s. We have one from Shane H. Wilder, who said if you don't like MJ's music, you can just beat it, beat it, beat it, beat it. No one wants to be defeated. Show how funky and strong is your fight. It doesn't matter who's wrong or right. Just beat it, beat it, beat it, beat it.
You know that when Weird Al wanted to do, when Weird Al parodied Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson gave him the location of music video spots so that he could recreate it because Michael Jackson loved Weird Al.
Okay, Weird Al, Eat It goes so hard.
I'm fat.
So hard.
I'm fat is good. When I sit around the house, I really sit around the house.
Okay, we have one from Dan M3570. Who I believe that's Australian. Hello, mate. Who said, hi, PCC.
Well, hello.
Hi.
Hello. How you doing?
How you doing, buddy?
So
Sorry
I saw this
that.
one from Sean Chandler. Says, truly shocked at how low this movie debuted, especially reading the actual submitted reviews. I could not believe how many 1 out of 5 reviewers there were. This is one of those days where I'm stuck thinking, did we watch the same movie? Well, that's the point. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think you very much watched the same movie. They just have a different aspiration for this movie than you do. They wanted to see it done in a way that talked about all of the bad stuff and didn't want to focus on all of the good stuff that Michael Jackson contributed.
Can we do a poll in the chat? Michael Jackson, allegations true or not? I want to know. Just put Michael Jackson, bad guy, good guy.
Guilty or innocent.
Yeah, guilty or innocent. I'm curious what you guys have to say. I don't know if I have I haven't looked into it enough. I know a lot of people say he was, but then the victims themselves have said he's not. But again, were they paid? What happened? I don't know the intricacies of that. I will say Neverland was creepy. that whole thing was, and I get it because part of him growing up in the limelight,
Well,
there was childhood trauma.
They even said that in
yeah.
the Holocaust, in that one review. They said they didn't talk about his fascination with childhood. To the credit of that review, as much as I disagreed with it, and I disagree with the idea that being audience friendly is a bad thing. To be fair, they were more nuanced than to say specifically just about the allegations, but basically saying that Michael Jackson was a far more interesting and eccentric person than the movie gives him credit for.
Yeah.
But from what I'm guessing is, most of the people who are going to go to this movie, whether they think highly of Michael Jackson or not, they want to get two things out of it. They want to see amazing concert sets recreated, and they want to be reminded of a time when America had a more monoculture that exported great talent to the world. And that's why I think the audience for this movie is generally going to be older. But they also talk about how there was a Variety article here. It says the $15 million reshoots that removed the child abuse allegations and what's in store for the sequels. And they do get into this here. It says the story of Michael Jackson's rise to superstardom was supposed to begin with one of the darkest chapters of the singer's life. In one scene from the film's original script, the King of Pop stares at his reflection in the mirror, capturing his sorrowful gaze as police car lights flash behind him. It's 1993, a decade after Thriller gripped the culture, and Jackson has just been accused of child molestation. So all of that stuff was removed because for legal reasons from the film. But again, if the point here is to get people to go to the movie to feel something that they want to feel, they're going to go to this movie. I don't know if you're going to get people to go to the movie for all the allegations. They kind of did the same thing with one of the Elvis biopics as well, which is like people want to go there to be reminded of better times, not worse. I don't think there's any avenue in where you make first of all, I don't think that a O.J. Simpson biopic would ever end up going to theaters. I think it would be a streaming one to begin with, but that's just my thoughts on the matter. And this movie has been litigious from the beginning. We got a 20 from Pat the Plumber. He says it was the parents who wanted money that told the kids to say S. That's what he's saying about the Jackson allegations.
Okay, yeah, and see, I've heard that theory, and I've heard the actual because he was so obsessed with childhood. I think it's actually quite sad. I think Michael Jackson, the whole story is quite sad. This one
says, sorry, Meaty, you can't get to control the narrative anymore of who Michael Jackson truly was. The public gets to watch the movie. They will decide for themselves. And I do think that is ostensibly true, which is that how this movie does at the box office will tell you just what America thinks of Michael Jackson and just how much Americans are, or to say, even if they don't necessarily believe he's innocent, how much they're willing to look past in the sake of going and reliving a better time in their life.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have a nostalgia for the era, even if it's not for Michael Jackson. I think that's why my disappointment in the Hannah Montana revival was so immense, because for me that was a big part of my childhood, and so I was really bummed out when I felt like I really didn't get to kind of relive that nostalgia. And of course, everyone feels nostalgia. There's plenty of people who should say, give up your childhood, don't do that. Don't give in to like things you liked as a kid. I don't think there's a problem with that as long as you're mature about it. There was a way to do it that's not mature. But I will say, Michael Jackson was still a weird guy, even if allegations are false, right? He was still kind of a weird dude.
People in Hollywood be weird.
He do be weird. But look, it's one of those things where, yeah, he was obsessed, and it's because he went through a lot of issues in his childhood. And so psychologically, he was unable to move on from childhood, and he had all the money in the world to basically recreate a childhood he wanted, not the one he had. You have to remember, he was very little when they started Jackson 5. He was like, I think he was the youngest or the second youngest or something like that. I mean, he was so small. So he never got a real childhood. I think that's why you see what happens with the Disney stars, right? You see all of them kind of go off and they do their own thing. It manifests differently for everybody. But I will say, I've been to the Motown Museum a number of times, and they have one of his gloves there, one of his sequins gloves there. And it's really cool to see in person, because you think about the fact that someone that wore this glove was such a powerful person, right? Someone that had so much fame. And I mean,
to this day, they still talk about Beyonce and Taylor Swift, and everyone says none of these artists will ever hold a candle to the level of fame that Michael Jackson had.
I mean, I'm like a lot of Motown, but Michael Jackson, namely being the first one that always comes to mind for people. Diana Ross is another one. I really, really love going to the Motown Museum every time. It's the same tour every time. I don't care. I think it's really cool. Being a Detroit native, that's kind of what, you do. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed, they have you like sing songs and go through and you can see all these outfits and you can see where Michael Jackson recorded some of their first, like Jackson 5 with Michael Jackson recorded their first songs. I very much enjoyed it. So that is going to be my recommendation today. It's not a TV or movie recommendation, but if you're in Detroit ever, don't give me crap about Detroit, guys. I know you're going to. You should go to the Motown Museum. I regret that we haven't gone yet while being in Michigan, but we might have to go next time we're there.
All right, before we move on, guys, I'm going to leave the poll open to the end of the show. We put Michael Jackson, innocent or guilty. Right now, 79% of you are saying innocent. So get in the chat right now. If you are listening and not engaging in the live chat, get in the live chat, make your opinions heard, and vote in the poll, and we will close that at the end of the show today. And somebody will have to remind me while we're finishing super chats.
I will try to remember to
do that. Yeah,
yes.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Ruby Rose and Katy Perry.
Yeah, so the narrative shift has now happened with the Ruby Rose and Katy Perry allegations, where Ruby Rose has said that Katy Perry sexually assaulted her in 2010 at an Australian nightclub in Melbourne. But there has been an article that was resurfaced from 2011, just a year after this occurred, the following year, where she said to an Australian news outlet that there was nothing that went wrong here. We have it from People. A newly resurfaced essay written by Rose in 2011 from the Australian news outlet news.com.au about her sobriety appears to reflect on the same encounter. I had been off the grog for 30 days, my first attempt at sobriety, and I was out partying with Katy. What I do remember thinking was, I'll have a drink tonight, I deserve one, I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Well, not stopping at one drink or 10 and then vomiting on Katy's foot was the answer. She also wrote, the short answer, I threw up on Katy Perry, and that's the one of the reasons I've been off the grog now for almost 90 days. That's such an Australian thing.
Yes, it is. I've never heard the term the grog.
Off the grog. I'm sorry, that was really bad. Before you jump to conclusions, nothing horrific happened, nor have I been hit with a DUI, but I just had enough. And it has been one of the best decisions of my life. In a recent thread post, she told followers it had taken almost 2 decades to say it publicly, where she said there were sexual assault allegations, that she did not throw up on her foot, but rather a different body part of Katy Perry. And she said that she is standing by her public claims, where said Katy is more than welcome to sue me. She won't because it happened. I have photos, and it was literally in public and witnessed by multiple people. So this is a huge narrative shift coming from Ruby Rose. TMZ also has some of this information where they actually talk about the change in the narrative, and they say, I told them I was bringing out the big guns today. Those are the big guns.
That's exactly how she danced at her wedding.
I can't wait to see the chat just be like, what is happening?
Continue.
Okay.
that was okay.
Amazing. I hope you like. They said that I was like the inflatable tube guy, and so I
the
wanted
wacky
to
wavable inflatable tube.
So I had to dance like that thing. Okay, so we have it from TMZ. In the essay, she wrote that she vomited on Perry's foot. Another similarity in her new claims that she threw up during sexual assault allegation. Though she didn't name the location of the crazy night out in 2011, Rose said the allegations happened in Melbourne's Spice Market Club in her recent allegations. Rose is obviously telling a much different story now, one which Perry's rep said is full of dangerous, reckless lies. Her team also pointed to Ruby's history of making public claims that have, quote, repeatedly been denied by those named, end quote.
How do you feel about it? First of all, let's not beat around the bush. I don't think anything's going to happen to Katy Perry. I think that her career will go on. Dating Justin Trudeau is already kind of like a plateau or like a crash to the bottom, right? I don't think anything is going to come of any of this, but what do you think about all this?
I don't think anything is going to come to this either. I think that, one, Ruby Rose has this idea of, or not this idea, but this kind of thing around where it's like, the boy who cried wolf. That's what I was trying to think of. I couldn't think of the phrase. It's the boy who cried wolf, right? So even if this was true, which I don't think it is, about projectile vomiting into her.
Oh, I believe it.
Really?
I believe all of this happened.
You don't think she vomited on her foot? You think she vomited during an assault?
No, I believe she vomited on her foot.
No, I believe she vomited on her foot, but she's telling the story that she vomited somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I don't believe that. She's changing the narrative. She has a history of doing this. But the problem with allegations like this and people that perpetually put in allegations like this is that you are the boy who cried wolf. So even if you say something that is true, it does not matter because you have said so many times that these things have happened and they've been proven false that by the time it actually comes around to making a real allegation, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? I don't think it's going to affect her. I mean, look, if the old women and like the nun or the old man, the nuns, if none of that has ruined her career, this isn't going to do anything. Remember?
So what was the story with the nuns?
She like bought like a.
I forgot the story about the nuns.
Yeah, no, she like bought where they lived and kicked them out, and then the old man, she like forcibly like purchased that property.
Yeah, but that guy was like that. They pretended like that guy was like.
Like he couldn't. Yeah,
that was different. I'd have to look through that stuff again.
Yeah.
I don't think any of this will end up hurting Katy Perry's career.
I mean, have you seen? She's dating Justin Trudeau, who sucks. She's also seen to be like a robot in the in her tour videos and being weird on tour.
Yeah,
nothing. She kissed a boy, and I don't know if she liked it, but she kissed a boy who was 19 without consent from that poor boy. Yeah, if you
guys don't know what we're talking
Idol.
about, it was on American Idol, a boy, and that would seem egregious on its own, but the whole point was that she said, or that the guy said, like, I've never kissed a girl before.
First kiss.
I'd like it to be special
with someone I love.
With somebody that I love.
And then she was like, oh, yeah. A nun died from the stress of her suing them because she wanted the property. That's what it was. And the old guy, she like forcibly took the property. But like, look, I think that I don't like, Katy Perry has some good bangers, whatever, art and artists and whatever, there. But I do think that she kind of sucks. Okay, that doesn't mean I won't listen to her music, but I don't think it's going to cancel her either. I don't think so.
Do you think we're like past the age? So I saw a sticker on a car the other day that said, "Yes, we believe them," and it had a phone number to like an abuse hotline. Do you think that time is come and gone in the culture and we've moved on to more nuanced?
Do you mean
perspectives?
Me Too, or are you talking about?
Me Too. I mean, in general, yeah, but
I mean,
when I think of Me Too, I think more of the Hollywood side of Me Too, which was executives with a ton of power who lord that power over very, very naive, but also very, very. What I want to say this in the most charitable way. Very much women who want careers.
Yeah. So I think a big problem.
Career-driven women. So that's what I think of when I think of Me Too. But in general, do you think that we've moved on away from the power of the virtue signaling claim of we believe all women to a world where it's no, we're going to have to take into account the nuances of every situation? I
don't think so. Unfortunately, I think for all the people on the right that say woke is dead, and for everybody that says, oh, you don't always have to believe him outside the gate, there are still so many of them that do get believed, that do get slammed the person they say is a quote unquote perpetrator. I think we are gone from that. No, I think we are still there, but I think we're gone from it making headlines every single time. But again, it depends. So I've seen a lot of believe all women, but then we have Blake Lively, right? In that case. And that was supposed to be a believe all women case.
I can't think of any examples of recent believe all women cases.
No, my point being,
where they actually.
But I do think that a lot of the people, not the people in Hollywood, but the people that are, extreme leftists, are still going to buy into that narrative of believe all women. And it's not that I'm against believing somebody and getting them help if they're actually in an abusive situation. It's that claim has been weaponized. And I can't say too much about this, but I can tell you guys I have a friend who's going through something similar. He has been going.
No, go ahead. Keep going.
He has been going through this for 6 years, I think. His whole life was destroyed because his ex-girlfriend made a false claim because she wanted to get out of a lease agreement. The only way to get out of said lease agreement after she met her new boyfriend was to, claims of abuse or whatever. He lost his job that he had worked 6 years to get studying. He lost that job, and you know what? I love him. He's a great friend of mine, and he's been doing a lot better now, but every time that people find out that he has those allegations, because the courts are slow and it's still moving through the court system right now, because she hasn't even spoken to the courts in like 2 years, and it's just ruining his life. And so I think because of cases like that, it is starting to break that stigma, but I do think there are so many rabid feminists who say believe all women that it's never going to truly be gone.
So somebody said that, but there's no job involved here. That's not really the comparison that I was making.
No.
But there is the connection to the visa application, which was that Rose indicated that Katy Perry agreed to help her with the visa process in 2010, so she did not initially disclose the full nature of the allegations, previously framing her experience as just like a funny drunk story, which is obviously very different from the story that she told later.
Right. Well, look, bringing up the story once and not bringing up the allegation is kind of crazy to me, but maybe she thought Katy Perry was going to be more beneficial to her career at that time. But, you know, I don't know. For me, it's one of those things where I've seen it ruin somebody's life that I know personally. And so maybe that's why I'm so against these allegations, regardless if they're physical or sexual or anything like that. I'm against allegation. I shouldn't say that, but I am skeptical of allegations to begin with 9 times out of 10, because I not only have I seen it happen in my real life with somebody that I know and very much care about, I've seen it, you know, happen in media stories, and unfortunately they do ruin usually a guy's life because of what? Because she wanted to get out of an apartment agreement. She didn't want to pay 6 more months on her lease or work out an agreement with my friend. She wanted to get out of there so bad because her boyfriend wanted her to, and now his life has been ruined for 6 years, and he has been clawing back his way to try to, you know, like with the courts and with his lawyers, and I've written character references for this guy, and you know my friend. It's really sad. I think, again, I like what someone just said in the chat, allegations are not facts. So they need to be proven.
The other thing that here, the reason that we covered this today is the Katy Perry, the statute of limitations cannot save her in the Ruby Rose allegation cases. Katy Perry could be charged for her alleged essay of Ruby Rose from 16 years ago if investigators find evidence of a crime. Prosecutors in Australia say there is no statute of limitations that's preventing them from bringing this case. As the world knows, Katy Perry, they go through the claims again, but then it goes here. Jacqueline Harris, a rep for the Office of Public Prosecution in Victoria, Australia, tells us that there is no statute of limitations on prosecuting indictable crimes in Victoria. The law at the time that alleged offense was committed applies to criminal proceedings and sentencing for historical offenses, so it could still come to pass that way.
Well, and I think too, when these things happen to famous people, it's I don't want to say less serious, because if it's true, it's always serious. But they usually can afford to not have to work ever again when people are that high up. They would be fine to never work again. Even if these allegations were to ruin Katy Perry's reputation, it's really not going to affect her income and her, like, I think the narrative, like people are saying, well, this isn't the same thing. I mean, in a way it is, and in a way it isn't, because you can know people whose lives get ruined. They don't have any income that they can generate because they did have a job. Now they don't have a job because of this. We have one here from Pop Culture Junkie. Hello, friend. He said, Ruby Rose has a history of attempting revisionist history. I know from someone who worked with her on Batwoman who thought she was talented, but there was always a question which Ruby was going to show up on any given day.
You know what it reminded me of? And you'll be able to tell. I tried to tell this story on air once, but you're a huge fan of the show Designated Survivor.
I love Designated Survivor.
Why don't you tell everybody the story about the progressive Supreme Court justice? We literally just watched it the other day. The progressive Supreme Court justice candidate who then she walks back giving the recommendation because she felt like she might have been taken advantage of.
Oh my gosh, that was a couple weeks ago. I totally forgot about that. I mean, yeah, she felt like, oh, maybe I was taken advantage of.
Which character was that?
I can't remember her name.
But she's like she works in the president's cabinet.
Yeah, she's like a cabinet member, and she was going to give a specific recommendation for somebody. Oh my gosh, who was that? It's right there on the tip of my tongue. But they were talking to like the chief of staff, and they were like, I don't know if I can give this recommendation because maybe I was taken advantage of at that point.
20 years ago.
20 years
when she was in college.
When I was in college and we went out drinking together, and maybe I didn't consent because I was drinking.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of those narratives. Also,
that is a very, very dangerous and malleable worldview that leads it to believe that there is no objective truth, which is a very dangerous precedent to set.
I do think that, like, again, you would have to literally go and get a kit done while you're still intoxicated to make those claims.
Yeah.
If you feel you're taken advantage of, because the only way to prove you were taken advantage of when you were drinking is to test that blood alcohol content, right? Yeah. So you can say, oh, you were way above a legal limit, and so clearly you could not have like you couldn't have, you didn't know what you were doing. That I could understand, but most of the time these come weeks, months, even years, decades later, and that's extremely, it's just so, I'm so sick of it, right? I'm sick of feminism, and this is part of feminism. I'm so over feminism. Like, look, if I could abolish any ideology in the world, not the people, the ideology, let's be very careful, don't need a Michael Knowles 2.0 here, but I would get rid of feminism.
Well, let's use that as a segue into our next topic. Let's talk about the patriarchy in podcasting. If you don't know who Maria Sharapova is, she is a 5-time tennis world champion, and she has a brand new podcast called Pretty Tough. It is on the Vox network, which I did not know was still a thing, but is. And they are seeking to, I'll put it up on screen here, to challenge the male-dominated podcast industry and examine women's ambition in a male-dominated industry. Now, one of the things they kind of fail to point out here is depending on where you where you look for your numbers, right? In the top 5 lists of podcasts, there are some that always include Crime Junkie, Good Hang, which is Amy Poehler, and Call Her Daddy, which of course all of these are female-led podcasts. And I think the thing I find funniest about it is there may be no better example. Like, I understand that podcast networks are a thing, and that we have a world now where the podcasting has gone corporate in a lot of ways, but there is very few things, perhaps other than maybe just creating an X account of your own. There's very few forms of media that are as democratized as podcasting is, meaning that the price of a microphone and a decent computer is lower. Well, I guess the prices of computers have gone up since RAM has gone up.
Yeah.
But in general, it is easier now to make your voice heard than perhaps it's ever been in society, but it doesn't matter if people want to frame a narrative around the idea as to why one gender or another might be held back in some regard.
Mass media was a mistake.
Think so?
Feminism was a mistake.
Oh, read the
It was
article.
all a mistake.
It says Sharapova, a 5-time Grand Slam champion and International Tennis Hall of Famer, announced this week that she's launching her own podcast with Vox Media. Her show, Pretty Tough, will focus on female ambition in male-dominated industry. According to the Wall Street Journal, her podcast was shopped around to multiple partners. Well, that alone is a level of talent, that's a level of privilege that I never had. I've never been able to shop my ideas around to the world, but
True.
What do I know? She chose Vox because she will retain creative control over this project. The thing I find funniest about this is that women love true crime. Women love comedy podcasts. Those are 2 of the highest ratings of the various genres.
Weirdos.
Meghan Markle didn't go this route with what she created. When she made Confessions of a Female Founder, well, she went that too, but she went Confessions of a Female Founder, which was examining powerful women in media. And in general, nobody shows up for that type of stuff because it's self-aggrandizing.
Yeah, look, I've said it before, I'll say it again, and I'll say it 1,000 more times. This is why feminism sucks.
Your favorite podcaster, Caleb Hammers, pointed out 2 of the 5 top on Spotify are women. When does this victim mindset come from? Where does this? He said, where does? Where he spelled it D-U-E-S. Where does this victim mindset come from? I'd love some of it. It must feel good.
Caleb, I love you, brother, because that is Look, I love a fellow Michigander to begin with, but Caleb is he's from Michigan. He's from West Michigan. I'm from the East Side, but still, he is he's great, and he always is speaking the truth. Look, I might not always agree with everything he says, but I would say 90% I agree with Caleb Hammer when he talks about these things, and he's right. There's this victim mindset that comes with a lot of women that are in the media space, especially those who are podcasting or have their voices out there.
Well, this is why I have always, almost from day one of this podcast, told you that somewhere in the world at any given time, there's a women's summit going on somewhere,
ruining the world.
You get to have discussions like this.
Look, I know. I am so fed up. I'm a cook for a second. Okay. I am so fed up with the idea that women are just victims inherently by being women, or thinking that it somehow holds you back or it does something, and you need feminism because you need to be better, or you need to be constantly in the know and talking about these things because you're a woman, and if you're not constantly talking about it, no one's going to realize women exist or something. The idea that that is the narrative right now is so beyond stupid. Modern wave feminism means I hate men. I want men to be beneath me. I don't need a man. Where feminism should be, I have the equal rights under the law that a man does, because that really is equal rights. That's why you had the Civil Rights Amendments, and that's why you had all of these movements. But if you have somebody who thinks they're a victim inherently by being born as a female, when you are gifted in so many ways, you can create life. You can bring life into this world. You can nurture and love your children. You can do all of these things that a man cannot do. They can't. And so if you're thinking that you're a victim after you've played professional sports and you've gotten money and you could, again, never work a day.
That was actually one of the interesting parts. Tennis is one of those ones where, because of Venus and Serena, is one of the most beloved for female athletes.
Yes. And so to say that, like, oh, I don't know, I'm way top chart. I'm so... Girl, shut up. Like, you are so not a victim. I'm so sick of victimhood mentality. On both genders. Both genders, both sides.
I think
I'm sick of it.
I think there's some overstating here, which is that this is a traditional log line that's used to sell a specific type of podcast. I don't know what she's like in her private life, but the headline here was from the Wall Street Journal that says Maria Sharapova takes on the podcast manosphere. That is their framing, not hers.
I know, but like, it is in a way what she's doing, and I'm sure she loves the fact that they're writing that.
I did like this one from this person. Says nursing 89% female, 3.5 million jobs. Elementary teaching 89% female. Childcare workers 93% female. But do you have you ever taken issue with that, or is it only when men dominate something due to the free market? And that was kind of my point earlier, was that this might be the best example of simply free will and choice, and the free market asserting itself as to who decides what they want to get into. Because, like I said, some of these, like her podcast is on a network. It's on the Vox network, sure. But anybody can make a podcast and go and put it out there.
Yeah, but being on Vox gives you a platform that you wouldn't normally have. It would be like starting a show under the Timcast umbrella or not under the Timcast umbrella. Those are very different things, because you are going to have a light automatically shined on you. And
I mean, all that means is you're going to get more marketing.
Right, but that's how you get more eyes on your podcast, is marketing. That's exactly how it is. That's why you guys have run ads before. That's why you have merchandise. It's all advertising.
But you can do that on your own.
You can, but it's a lot harder. I'm saying it's a lot easier for someone like her who already has a name and goes on the Vox network to do these things and spread this really stupid narrative that feminism is a good thing. Like, someone asked me in the chat, and I've been very open about this, but so people know where I stand on feminism and my personal beliefs. I always say, if every woman lost her right to vote, and it meant that only men were voting, but that would also mean that Republicans continue to win and conservatism continues to get pushed forward, I'm willing to take one for the team and give that up, because it means the country's going to go in the direction I want it to go to. Not that I'm just going to say tomorrow I'm going to stop voting. No, I'm going to say that, you know, I would be willing to give up that right if it meant that it was better for the country, better for the future generations, and it would actually save America. Because right now we're stuck in this time where feminism is destroying the country. So many things go back to feminism.
So this is, I thought this was funny, and I've referenced the USC Annenberg Inclusion Initiative many, many times in this podcast. It's one of my favorite places to go, because I can't imagine working at a place where literally your job is to crunch the numbers on how you're oppressed. Like, every day I get to go out and find articles about stuff I think is interesting and talk about, but I can't imagine being like assigned a dearth of television shows to watch and then count the characters. But this is the USC Annenberg Inclusion Initiative releases a new study exploring gender and race and ethnicity of hosts and guests of popular podcasts. Now, this is about a year, it's from like the end of 2025, but some interesting numbers that you see in here. So it says podcasts have become an essential platform for information, entertainment, and connection. This study underscores both the reach of podcasting and the opportunity to ensure the voices behind the mic reflect the audiences they serve. First of all, nobody needs to serve any specific audience. You can just talk about stuff, and whoever wants to like your stuff can. Podcasting's power lies in its potential as a democratized medium where anybody with an idea and a microphone can find an audience. As the format matures, that accessibility can help challenge the old patterns of entertainment and pave the way for a more inclusive audio landscape. Here's the problem. They've already been trying to make the video platforms and the streaming services and the Hollywood studios, they've already worked to make that more female friendly. That's what DEI initiatives and equality stuff and equity stuff has always been about. Not equality, equity. Across the top 100 podcasts, 64% of hosts were men and 35.9% of hosts were women. This trend extended to the top 592 podcasts, where 66.3% of hosts were men and 33% of hosts were women. Podcasts remained the low point for women's participation when compared to other media. 50% of the top 100 films in 2024 had a female lead. That is incredible! The fact that they hit an even 50% is not possible without some type of like gerrymandering from the studios, and it has nothing to do with talent or skill. It says the top 50% of the top 100 films in 2024 had a female lead or co-lead. 44.9% of series regulars on the top 100 TV series were female, and 37.7% of popular music artists were female in 2024. That's hard to believe, because I was under the impression that Sabrina Carpenter, Olivia Rodrigo, and Taylor Swift were the only music artists that apparently existed. The study also examined, women were most likely to host podcasts in the genre of true crime, arts, society, and culture, news, and education. Women were most likely to host programs focused on, women were least likely to host programs focused on business and technology and sports and fitness. I mean, I'm not surprised by that, given the artificial push to get women into STEM. That's a not organic way of pushing women perhaps into fields that they don't have much interest in, when the idea here should be to encourage your kids to go into whatever profession they want, and fits their skill sets or the skill sets that they want to develop. It says women of color were the least likely to be podcast hosts. 6.6% of the top 100 podcast hosts were women of color, with 8.1% of the 592 most popular podcasts examined. Podcasts fall behind other forms of entertainment, as 12.7% of leads and co-leads, and 22.6% of series regulars, and 15.4% of popular music artists were women of color. Here's the thing, though. In all of these industries, you've got middle management executives that are telling you what you need to do one of two things: to either find the mythical modern audiences that doesn't exist because people just go to find the entertainment they want. It's got nothing to do with modern audiences. Or they're telling you to do that because it's good for their stakeholders, because it helps boost their business, their platform scores as a corporation. So podcasting as a whole is perhaps the most honest representation of people just going out, having something they want to say, and building a platform around it, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I'm so sick of, again, the victimhood narrative and the idea that, again, and the corporatization of all podcasting is another issue if we get away from the gendered issue.
I mean, okay, so
I like the independent media. I do. I prefer, I like that, while Tim is a business now, I like that Tim kind of just built it from the ground up after working in corporate media. He didn't like it. But
the point is that the independent voices should win out if they're authentic enough and they can find their place. It's kind of like how a lot of people on YouTube, they find their audiences without advertising. They don't need to. People are drawn to what they're creating. It doesn't matter if there's a corporation behind them. They're gonna find their audience. Now, it may be harder as corporations get more involved in stuff like this, but if anything, that puts a premium on the voice of authenticity that comes from people who aren't working for a big company.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I would say that's fair. That's fair.
So I don't know, guys. I don't personally believe that the patriarchy is controlling the podcast space, and I encourage everybody who has an interesting premise and a show to make, go out and make it. And that is to say that there's plenty of that stuff that gets made that I don't think is necessarily good for the culture or good for society. For women, that would be the likes of the Alex Coopers. I think that the Alex Coopers of the world create a podcast that leans into the worst aspects of themselves, meaning that it pushes people towards, stuff that I would not necessarily want to promote, but that's just me specifically. All right, let's move on. What would you like to see? The cringe or the cute of the day?
Let's get the cringe out of the way.
You want to do the cringe
Bad,
first?
yeah.
That bad?
I remember seeing it and going, that's the one.
That's horrible. Oh my, bro.
Sorry, I forgot which one it was.
Somebody needs to. We're banning you from the computer, man. I'm not gonna lie. From back there, I thought it was Asian Joe Biden Asian de-aged
Look,
Joe Biden.
honestly, the pink is kind of a vibe.
The top comment says, your videos are so inspiring.
I love
the AI comments.
The comments are so funny.
body
I love the body comments, but so many of them are very, very funny.
Oh man, that was rough, man. Okay.
It was rough.
All right, cue of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Wait, no, there it is. Here it is. You're gonna love this one. This is from, is it Michelle? Mechelle? It is a dog holding a cat.
Oh my god, hi, look how cute. Oh my god, put it back on the screen, put it back on the screen, put it back. Oh, look how cute they are. This is what I want Crouton when we get Crouton one day.
It's Cooper and his kitten, Oscar.
Yeah, you know what? Good for you, Cooper and Oscar. I love this. This is my Super Bowl.
That face that you just saw her make is the exact face she makes every time we drive by a cow or a horse
or a goat
or pretty much any farm animal. We're surrounded by farms out here, and she nearly gets us into car accidents by jerking her head left and right.
So I do not. First of all, there are a lot of farms on our way here. We have one from Not That John Stewart at 20. What the Fauk OCD. Look, I need to keep my crown, being the queen of cringe is a full-time job. My Instagram is decimated, so at this point it just comes up naturally.
That was brutal, man.
Yeah, that one was pretty bad. You guys, if you guys get us to 3 crisis parties today, I will go easy on Thursday. That's right. If you guys don't want to be tortured.
3 crisis parties means less awful cringe on Thursday.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then let's move on. So I was just reading this thing about how the majority of the popular musicians are apparently men. But that is not necessarily inherently true, because we have this story about how the Taylor Swift fans, the Swifties, are once again trying to just ruin the life of somebody who dared to share an opinion. Yeah,
so Josh Hutcherson, who was the lead actor in the Hunger Games series, was doing an interview with a magazine where him and his castmates were talking about certain things, and they talked about the fact he went to the Eras Tour in New Orleans, where he said, "My mom made me go." And then he also said I'm not a Swiftie. Very much not. No shade, all respect, but definitely not. Well, this has unleashed some kind of firestorm on this guy who is now facing all sorts of backlash, to the point where he then had to address the backlash.
See, the thing is, he didn't. He's just a woman.
I'm saying he said he had to. He felt he had to. He felt he had to address this backlash. And he went. He had VIP tickets that he got from his mom, and he switched.
Wait, did he go with her?
I think he went with her, but they were VIP tickets, and they were exchanging bracelets with the friendship bracelets, which is a thing at Taylor Swift concerts. And he said, let's see. All of a sudden, it's garnered with, F him, he's a monster, destroy him. He's short. He hates her because he's short. He's 5'5".
Oh my gosh, he's even shorter than me.
Yeah.
Or he's that's crazy.
It's whoa, I think she's great. Her music's just not my kind of music. That's why I don't want to be online. Which I have always said, I don't necessarily I like Taylor Swift fine as a person, I guess. I think she's cute. I love that she has this whole brand around her cats as well. It's very me coded, and she bakes, and I love her relationship with Travis Kelce. But I would say that politics wise, because that's what everyone thinks you should judge someone on nowadays, probably don't align with her, and that's okay. I like her music. I bob to her music. That's good. He doesn't have to like her music. There are plenty of people who make music and it's not my thing, and that's okay. So there is a tweet that said, it's okay to say you're not a Swiftie, but saying definitely not a Swiftie is underhanded.
Wait, so he's like, it's just the word definitely that they're mad about?
But then she said, then this person goes on to say, well, Josh Hutcherson is a short, ugly weasel who will never look half as good as Tom Cruise, another man considered short.
He's shorter than Tom Cruise, though.
I know, but they're saying,
That's
like,
crazy.
it's not even him being short.
Yeah.
It's that he's an ugly weasel that will never be as handsome as Tom Cruise because apparently he said he's definitely not a Swiftie, and so that made this so much worse. And we know this isn't the first time that the Swifties have come to give the F around and find out to people their version of FAFO, if you will. Who we had this with Zach Bryan just last year, where he was drunk posting. That's what he says, right?
From what I've read, this happens to him. He's a drunk poster.
He drunk
Guys,
posted.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Just, you know
I'd
what?
say just quit drinking.
That's
but
what I was
going to
say.
At the very least, quit drunk posting.
Yeah, look, if you're drinking so much you drunk post, that's a problem.
But basically, he said that he would rather listen to Kanye than listen to Taylor Swift.
All he said was Eagles greater than Chiefs. Kanye greater than Taylor. Who's with me? And that, no one was with him, okay? Like that was an extremely bad backlash where he ended up deactivating his X account.
Yep.
And so this isn't the first time that Swifties have come and they're like, we're not playing with this. And it's not necessarily, I mean, it's toxic as hell, right? Like we've talked about stan culture a lot on this channel, and we've talked about, I know Mary's talked about it extensively. We've talked about it here extensively. And I would say stan culture is extremely toxic. You guys know about my stan era when I was in my stan era.
The I guess what you'd call right-wing people's perspective on stan culture for musicians is probably similar to what lefties feel about right-wing culture's interest in fandom, or at least how they perceive it, like with Star Wars and Star Trek and all that stuff, which is like they view them as toxic. I would argue that the people that are fans of Star Wars and Star Trek have very reasonable concerns with the platforms and the products, but that's just me. Just my opinion.
Look, stan culture is extremely toxic. It's, I don't know. I guess people would say too, like I don't like, that people are saying bad things about someone that I care about is what they're saying. But again, it's a parasocial relationship that they're building. They're saying, I know Taylor Swift. I know, because we're like, she once liked a tweet, which no, she didn't. It was her team, first of all.
Wait, of what?
I'm just saying, like that's what they thrive on. They'll be like, oh, Taylor Swift liked one of my posts, like any tweet.
Oh,
I'm just saying that's what they thrive on, is the idea that she liked a tweet, and so they somehow like know her.
If I was famous, that's exactly the type of shit I would do. I'd go like weird shit to see who catches on. I mean, I know it would be absolutely detrimental to my career, but I would just go find weird shit and like it.
Yeah, I mean, now that likes aren't public, maybe that's not as big of a deal.
No, on Instagram.
Oh, on Instagram. I'm saying, like, she's more, she's on Instagram more than not. But I guess the idea is that when you have a stan culture like this that attacks people, look, I don't think it's her responsibility necessarily. So people have said, why doesn't she tell them to not go after her exes? Why does she? Because that brings more attention to it. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, that's why, right? If she stays silent,
it depends on your. So I would bet that
I'm not saying it's
Colonel Kurtz would say that she likes that they do it, but I don't know if that's necessarily true.
That they go after people, or
I don't. I mean, me and Colonel Kurtz have talked about Taylor Swift and her fandom, and we gotta have Colonel Kurtz back on the show soon.
I miss her so much.
But in general, I disagree with the idea that a creator is like representative of their fandom, or that they're responsible for the stupid things their fans do.
Right. I don't think that she's responsible for stupid things her fans do, especially when she's not telling them.
Once you reach a certain level of fame, like crazies are gonna follow.
Yeah, and also she didn't say go attack my exes. Yeah. She didn't say that.
Yes, but she does know. It's not to say that she's responsible, but she does have an inclination of what is going to happen when she writes that stuff. And her fans are as activated as they are. Obviously, she should.
Right. And it's also people making assumptions on what those songs are about and who they're about based on when they were written or lyrics that are in there. But I think that it's one of those things where when you reach that level of fame like a Taylor Swift, yeah, you really don't have control over what the crazies do. Crazies are crazy. They're going to do what they want.
Was he at the concert switching bracelets with people? So he is a fan.
I mean, his mom probably, or someone probably gave him a couple, like, you know, whatever, and then they ended up switching them. So what happened was, okay, you know, he's now got 10 bracelets because people just gave it to him. Now he's trading, right? So I think that's the idea.
Okay.
And that's the culture at a Taylor Swift concert. So I've never been to a Taylor Swift concert, but I know enough about the culture around them that I know that you know, they have bracelets that they get when they're there that change lights with the different eras. At least for the Eras tour, they had that. And they do the little heart hand like that, and then they do the bracelets. People make friendship bracelets.
I mean,
and they swap them.
A Taylor Swift stan doing this.
It's this.
Who's ready to then like just smear you on X. It's kind of like
it's
that.
Over the head.
It's kind of like that person who drives around with a sticker that says "Be kind" because you know they're the least
Now,
nice person you've ever met in your
I
entire
see chat
life.
saying that, you know, she does have control. If she said to stop, how many of them would actually listen, and how many of them would think that they're somehow kind of a white knight for Taylor Swift in a way where they're even if she says not to, they're like, but I must defend her honor. I still think you're going to have crazies that do that, because just because she says it, they're going to be, because she didn't mean it, like they're going to interpret it in a certain way. Like she didn't actually mean that. She meant like, you know, stop, like she wants it to look like she's saying to stop, but what she really meant was keep going. That's what they're going to say.
Kindness matters. A sticker on the car of somebody who is the least kind person you've ever met in your entire
I bet
life.
we know a couple
It
people.
costs nothing to be kind. What they don't ever tell you is that it doesn't cost anything to be a dick either.
Yeah, it does
but
not.
The point is that usually the person who brags about being kind is actually really, really authoritarian when it comes to enforcing their kindness on the world.
They are not
which
kind.
is usually just a generic form of modern leftism.
Yeah.
Leftist political identity as kind of repackaged as empty platitudes, which is what most political messaging is. Empty platitudes.
Yeah. I guess some of them would listen, right? Of course some of them would listen.
So Josh Hutcherson, he learned his lesson.
I mean, look, he didn't need to learn a lesson.
He kind of
Josh Hutcherson saying he does not like Taylor Swift's music doesn't give her fans the right.
I'm kidding, but
Right.
my point is more that it's kind of goes.
But I don't think there should be anybody. This goes for politics as well, to kind of blend those two together. It's like someone saying they don't like Donald Trump, and then freaking Laura Loomer comes out of wherever she is and is like, time to expose everything you've ever done. It's like, whoa, okay. Just because I say something, it's also like Donald Trump himself not liking someone because they say something that's against what he might think. It's not something that, no one is perfect, right? No man is perfect. The one perfect is the Lord. And so when you are saying that you have this kind of mob mentality to go after somebody for disagreeing with Taylor Swift, not liking Taylor Swift, disagreeing with Donald Trump, or whatever it might be.
From the celebrity perspective, if we're to get away from the Swiftie point of it, it kind of goes to what I was saying yesterday, and without meaning to, I actually kind of spoke. It had already happened, but it was a reality I kind of spoke into existence for myself, which is like, I want to see somebody go, like one of these celebrities go to a Taylor Swift concert and say, nah, not my thing. Like the point is like when you're a celebrity and you're in Hollywood or the music industry, you kind of have to generically like everything because they get really upset.
It's not even generically like.
When you don't like stuff.
It's not generically like. It's just not say you dislike. You just have to not have an opinion.
That's a distinction without a difference.
No, because if you generically like something, it's just an assumption of like that person, I guess they like them, but they haven't said anything publicly. There's no reason. I don't even know why it came up. That's what I'm really confused about is like, I guess this interview, they asked like, so you went to that concert? He could have just said, yeah, I had a good time at the concert. But again, he can say, I'm not a fan of that kind of music because he likes rap music and he doesn't like pop music.
Is that what he likes?
I have no idea. I'm just
music?
guessing. Like, I just pulled something out. I don't metal. He likes metalcore music.
Okay.
And so, yeah, maybe he doesn't like Taylor Swift because he listens to All That Remains, friend of the channel. And shout him out really quick. And I would say that, man, it's hard because everyone will associate Taylor Swift and the Swifties with like being some evil cult or whatever. And I just try to have a more nuanced take than that. I'm a fan of Taylor Swift. I'm not a fan of everything she does, but her music's good. I'm a fan of that.
Wait, so you're the nuance bro?
I'm the nuance bro somehow. Everyone thinks that I have some kind of affinity for Taylor Swift. No. I think Taylor is talented. I know people won't agree with that. I'm not saying her dancing. Don't put those words in my mouth. I've seen the dancing. Look, It's a girl having fun. You guys have seen me dance. I'm no better. So,
I mean, your Crisis Party dance does look a little bit Taylor Swift inspired. That's okay.
If you guys could see me standing, I'd do the little spin move she does.
Boy.
But look, I would say that Taylor, she has some good music. I think there are people who will say I don't like any of her songs. I'm willing to bet there is one Taylor Swift song that someone likes. Like not the same one, but just somebody out there, for all the songs that she has, likes one of them.
Okay.
So I don't know. I would say I can't blame her for the way her fans act, but I also think, she probably could have said something, but she's also not super online. She's not super online either.
I don't think she needed to say anything. I get annoyed when people expect these.
Should she say something about her exes getting dragged? Or do you think those are fans jumping to conclusions?
I understand Kurtz's point from whatever. Now I feel bad because I need to go back and re-listen to what she said.
Yeah.
But the point is like, no, I don't. I think you can create whatever art you want, and maybe it's a little bit. Maybe you vilify your exes. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe through objective interpretation, she's in the wrong. I have no idea. I do know that it's a long list of apologies if you're going to ask every artist to preface their work and then give some type of statement to counteract, especially once you reach a certain level of fame. It's just it's not practical.
I knew chat was gonna be like, I don't like any Taylor Swift song. You probably never heard all of them, is my point. There's probably things I don't know, like from an artist maybe I'm not a big fan of, that I would actually like a song if I heard a specific song. She's got kind of all different variety of songs. And so my point being that you don't have to be like, oh, I hate Taylor Swift's music, so I'm just going to say she's responsible for everything her fans do. That's just not true. That's like saying that if someone were to do something and be like, I'm a Tim Pool fan, Tim should have stopped them. Yeah. It's inherently not true. She has such a large fan base. I mean, she did a 2-year tour, over 100 stops. All of them were sold out.
It's a lot.
That's insane. So she does not sing Man-Child, you guys. That's okay. But that's Sabrina. But that's okay. Close enough.
All right, let's move on. So, guys, as an industry right now, Hollywood is contracting. Jobs are going away. We're seeing layoffs at companies like Paramount, Disney, Marvel laying off whole departments. And it really is indicative of the industry tumbling and falling away from its former glory. And there's no better way to see that than perhaps last week when I covered the story on here about Kirk Acevedo losing his house because the actors are being basically put out of work at the streaming level because the jobs are going to the bigger name actors who are taking their gerbs, as we said. But it's also happening with the writers in Hollywood. And I found this story today from the Hollywood Reporter about a gentleman named Nick Morton, who was a executive in Hollywood. He worked as a writer in Hollywood, and now he has found himself working in construction because the jobs have all gone away.
Yeah, so Nick Morton, who has been a writer in Hollywood for over 30 years, who worked on projects like Cooper's Bar, Ray, and Afternoon Delight, is now a construction worker for his brother-in-law's company. We have it from an article here that he says he worked as an executive at Anschutz, is that what it's called? Yep. Anschutz Entertainment Group and Phoenix Pictures. He said that Hollywood actors suffered from the actors' strike, and then there was a writer's strike. And
2023.
Yep. And then there was a spiraling production exodus and a content contraction precipitated. Wow, that is a lot. That's a hard one to say. By the economics of streaming and the rise of YouTube and the rise of TikTok or Instagram and Shorts. He said his construction career kind of happened gradually and then all at once, just like his failing. I don't want to say failing. That's kind of mean, but you know what I mean. Like his career in Hollywood, it started dying slowly. And then all at once, he said he spent his first year getting laid off, holding on to the Hollywood dream. His old company, Whitewater Films, hired him to write a sports comedy called Puckheads. I like that name. About an aging minor league hockey enforcer who gets coerced into playing for a cartel in Mexico City.
What do you mean it's like a hockey? Like, do cartels have hockey teams?
Apparently they do. Okay. He tried doing a YouTube channel. He wrote a memoir, but his calls in Hollywood all went unreturned, and eventually they just halted. He said it became clear that despite any kind words about his work, he could not pay the rent or his son's tuition. on praise alone. So he said affordability counts for nothing in this town.
Yep.
So what if I'm not affable?
Affable. He's basically they were saying like,
I
hey,
guess affordability too.
You're a good guy. And he's like, well, that doesn't count for bupkis here.
Maybe that's affordability too, though. You know, like, can they afford what he's doing? But yes, affability. Said, when I lost my job and show, it was just confirmed Hollywood always makes me feel worthless. Thankfully, during that first year, my brother-in-law, who's a master cabinet maker and general contractor in Los Angeles, approached me about overseeing the renovations of a house in Los Feliz that he had purchased as an investment. He was planning a gut renovation, and he wanted me to keep an eye on it, handle some of the administrative work around city permitting, and make sure the crew had whatever supplies they needed for the day's planned work. Knowing nothing about construction, save the few projects I'd done in my own house, I said yes. So he said after writing a couple hours, he would then go out and do this job. So he'd wake up early, write, and then he said from the start, a big part of my job was going to Home Depot. And one day he was at a Home Depot when he felt a hand on his back. He turned around, and it wasn't a laborer, but it was actually an old friend of his from Hollywood who had said, what are you doing? And he said, I'm caught off guard. He was like stammering a little bit. He's like, this is what I do now for a living. So good for you. And then so that's what my dad did growing up. And he realized the look on his face that he didn't recognize was one he had rarely seen. It's respect, which is really sad. And then he said he doesn't know if he'll ever master his new gig, but he's sure that, it might, he did some things wrong earlier, but he said, all I do know is after 6 months of construction, my skin has cleared up. I've lost 12 pounds and I sleep like an adolescent boy. Sure, I make an hourly wage, but I'm wanted here. I'm valued. It's a feeling I rarely experienced in Hollywood, and sometimes it's enough to make me believe I will never go back.
I think that there's something special about this, and I'll tell you why. In the industry that we're in, I feel like there's a lot of people who probably daydream about doing something else sometimes because what they do is probably looked down on. And in Hollywood, one of the things that I've always kind of lauded is that I do believe that it's unfair to denigrate their work as unimportant. Yeah. Because movies and television have shaped culture for a very long time here in the United States. And for as much as conservatives want to pretend like art doesn't matter, art matters. It does. Great television shows and great movies mean a lot to a lot of people. Sometimes those people have right-wing political beliefs. Sometimes they have left-wing political beliefs. Sometimes they have no political beliefs and they don't think about it at all. Did you guys see the story yesterday about all of the bartenders in Los Angeles who had no idea why they were getting a bigger tax return this year? They had no clue whatsoever. They're not political people. They don't care. But I do believe that art matters. And seeing somebody in this industry who has probably been told for years that it doesn't matter, ostensibly be forced out of the business because it's a death by 1,000 cuts and very much of their own creation, has a lot to do with the unions, has a lot to do with the type of art that they're making in Hollywood right now, with no audience to actually show up and buy your products. People aren't going to come out and get it. It has to do with demographic shifts in Hollywood and the fact that DEI policies have meant that hiring certain people isn't as in as it once was. There's a lot of reasons why the Hollywood industry is contracting. All of those reasons are their own fault. Their inability to shift to changing mediums until it was too late, their dismissal of audiences, and all of these things. But there is something I like about a guy who's like, you know what? I had a dream and I moved on. And there have been TV shows that I've loved where that's kind of the theme of it. In White Collar, Peter Burke talks about how he wanted to be a pro baseball player.
Yeah, that's right.
He made it into the minor leagues, and then he had a shoulder injury. And he could have kept going, but he said he's probably going to blow his arm out. I had to find a new dream. I enrolled in the FBI Academy, right? Yep. Sometimes you have to move on.
We have a 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie who says, looks like something about Ready to Break about Scooter Braun being tied to the Blake Lively.
Whoa. That's even worse than Taylor Swift. Look, and I think in a way...
I'm sorry, I wanted to
continue.
Finish that. I'm sorry, I'm going to reread it for you, Pop Culture Junkie. Looks like something about Ready to Break about Scooter Braun being tied to the Blake Lively Hollywood smear scandal.
Okay, we'll have to see about that tomorrow. What's going on with that?
Hope you guys like that.
But look, here's the thing. I am not ashamed to say that this, like hosting a podcast is not a necessary function of society. There will one day be a time when this podcast probably isn't worth doing anymore, and they end up letting me go. Okay, they're gonna say, Brett, you're not making it worthwhile anymore. We're gonna let you go. That'll probably happen one day, and I'll have to move on.
I don't know. They like you.
The point is like, I get it. Like, you're going to go through multiple phases in life, and there's something beautiful about finding another chapter and then getting a chance to write about it because you've realized that there's something you're doing now that brings you joy that perhaps didn't bring you joy before.
I'm sorry, the chat's clear, so there she goes.
With the dancing? Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you guys are funny. Look, I love to show my dance skills, lack thereof, off for you guys. Yeah, no, I think you're very good at what you do. I think you don't give yourself enough credit, especially when we talk about things like this. You are more of a doomer than anything.
I identify with this guy. I do. I identify with this guy because Hollywood as an industry is just one where so few make it. And however few you think make it, it's 20,000 times less than that. And you kind of always got to live on the edge of like, where is my next job going to come from? Where is my next paycheck going to come from? It is like the idea that when I went to school, I went for television production. And one thing that I didn't really think about when I went to school and got my degree on the back of a paper napkin, basically with an associate's degree. But the point is that they don't really, if you don't really think about it, it's mostly freelance work. And that's not an easy road to follow, especially back then. It was even worse because you couldn't, there weren't as many Uber Eats jobs to supplement your income.
I mean, look,
at that time.
I will say, they like you. People really, really enjoy what you have to say. And look, I'm not just saying this because I know you so well.
You're now legally required to say this.
I'm not. I could say whatever I want. But what I will say is I know a lot of people enjoy you on IRL, on these shows, and I think that you deserve the credit and the applause for that because you do so much work. You guys don't realize how much Brett actually does here. I won't glaze him too much because then it gets into like gay territory. But I will say he does a lot. He does, so much of this production work, and you and Mary have built a very successful and profitable show that at the end of the day, you guys have cultivated a fan base that people really love.
But I think what it is that most people in the space, they feel like they've got something deeply important that they need to say.
You do.
I've never felt that way.
Yes, you have, because you have recorded segments at home because you had something you had to say so badly.
But for a guy like this who works in that industry, we've been doing this podcast for what, 4 years? Like, it's a little over 4 years.
Yeah, because you'd been hired on 5 years this year.
So, like, this guy was doing it for 30 years.
I know.
Imagine, like, the amount in which your identity is tied to your work, right?
Yeah.
It's brave to have to start over and pick up something new that you've never done before. Especially, like, this guy's, if his kid's 18 and going into college, it is brave to have to start over someplace new, learn something new, and humble yourself.
Yes, and that can happen. But also, you can end up getting a career in podcasting because you happen to meet a guy on Instagram who liked your skate videos.
Lol.
Like, it's not one of those things where, yeah, people sometimes fall down on their luck or they have to move on from a job that they were fortunate to even have in the first place. But you are, I think you're very talented at what you do. I've always thought that about you. I've always admired your ability to be able to say things. So every time you say to me or to somebody else, hey, I don't think I have all this stuff that I sit down and to say. And then it'll be 11 p.m. and Brett's like, I'm going to go record a segment, and goes into the office for an hour to make sure that he, gets his segment done. I do think you have an inherent need to say things. Not that it's a bad thing, it's a good thing, but you do have things to say, and you do say them.
I think that everybody would benefit from the idea that, especially now as we're entering in a time period where the economy is more uncertain than it's ever been. Yeah. And every company seems to be laying people off. Now, we had a whole discussion yesterday about the layoffs related to AI, whether that was the corporation trying to look better for investors or whether the AI programs that are being used are actually as effective as they're claiming to be. Yeah. But the point is, economic uncertainty and job scarcity is absolutely something that a lot of people are worried about. And it's scary, but it's also really, really a white pill for me to see somebody who has found himself a new niche in life away from what he was doing before. And the other thing that I would see from something like this is he will, what could end up happening for a guy like this is Hollywood may end up finding itself in a new place 5-10 years down the line. And he's still going to be writing. I have no doubt that if he's been writing for 30 years, he's going to be continuing to do that.
I mean, it sounds like he's still trying to do
he's still
that.
Trying, right?
And I admire him for being able to still put that effort in. Now, it sounds like he's content with what he's doing now, and he's made his peace with it. But I'm sure if the right opportunity presented itself, he would want to go back to that. But again, Hollywood has been kind of on a downward trajectory for a little while now, especially after the strikes and everything, job wise. And so that makes sense to me. But I think this guy is taking the best approach he can to the situation, and he's very honest with it. He's very much like, I own that there was a period in time where I was extremely upset and embarrassed to be working this job. But now that I see the respect and the I guess not just respect, but like the appreciation, right?
I think there's also like he saw like his so basically it was like his brother-in-law's company, right?
Yeah.
And I think he saw like the more steady work, and that's probably like really engaging and inviting when you've been working on some type of freelance basis. Like obviously he'd worked for companies before and he was turning in projects and stuff like that. But from everything that I've seen and everybody that I've talked to that works in the industry, like it's like very few of them get that ability to work constantly. Like we talk about those people on here. The people that we talk about are the ones who are blessed enough to work in the industry for an extended period of time. But very, very few people, like an infinitesimal amount of people, will ever actually get to understand that side of Hollywood.
It's also, we've said this about podcasting. We know a lot of people who have been trying their hand at podcasting, and a lot of them talented, but it is a very hard industry to get into. And I think your story is crazy because you kind of just tripped into it, right? And it happened.
Well, that's why they say like you have to want to do it. Because if you don't want to do it, like while you've got another job, you're not you're gonna give a half-assed job when you're doing it as a career, right? Yeah. So you need to care enough about what you're talking about to want to talk about it when you're tired after work. Or when you're tired, but when you get up in the morning and then you've got to go to your 9-to-5 job or something like that. I have an unbelievable amount of respect for anybody in any profession that also commits to something that they're passionate about outside of work. And reading articles like this, like I think that like I saw some people, for instance, on X who were saying that this was black pill doomerism and basically to try and talk people out of wanting to work in the industry. I think it's humbling, and I think it's a white pill.
I do think it's a good thing to be able to look at this and be like, okay, you know what, that worked, but it didn't work, and like it worked for a little bit, but you know, like it happens. People fall on their luck. Instead of making himself, we talked about victimhood earlier. The victimhood mentality isn't there with this guy.
There you go. All right, let's move on, ladies and gentlemen. Since we did the white pill, let's do just a little bit of a black pill. I know we don't usually like to end the show on a black pill, ladies and gentlemen, but this one might be seen as just a little bit of a black pill. I found this article from Fortune that says, teen boys are choosing AI girlfriends over real ones for quote-unquote maximum control and zero rejection. Experts are saying it makes them unemployable, which feels like a non sequitur.
Like, where does that? How are they related?
They do connect it. It says Gen Z dated strategically, dating people 25% more attractive and successful than them to climb the social ladder. I would love to see a stat on that. I don't know how that works. I've also seen, we just literally did a topic last week that referenced Shrekking, which was talking about people who date someone uglier than them so that they can be the better looking person. That's what Olivia did. She dated me to make her look better.
Stop that. That's not true.
It says Gen Alpha. I'm sorry. Let's go. We got a 20.
We have a 20 here from Shane H. Wilder. Brett, I can say that I wouldn't being doing. Shane, brother. Okay, Brett, I can say that I wouldn't be doing the types of stuff I am doing right now and trying to take the opportunities that are coming in without you and Mary. I wouldn't have the IRL friends, including y'all, without PCC. Love you, brother. Love you, brother.
Jesus loves you, brother.
We all love you.
It's from
brother.
a podcast.
Okay, I was like, we all love you, brother.
It says, so it said, I'm going to start over from here. It says, so Gen Z dated strategically, dating people 25% more attractive and successful than them to climb the social ladder. Gen Alpha, it seems, has decided the whole thing is too much effort. Instead, teen boys are quietly swapping first dates, awkward silences, and emotional guesswork for an AI girlfriend who never cancels, never argues, and always texts back. In fact, research by Male Allies UK, which just sounds like the worst type of like, overly funded, gets nothing done, nonprofit you've ever heard of. They found that 20% of boys aged 12 to 16 know a peer who is quote unquote dating an AI chatbot, while 85% have spoken to one, and over a quarter even prefer the attention and connection they get from a bot over the real thing. Most shockingly, 58% said an AI relationship is easier because they can control the conversation. The appeal is one that a professor told Fortune is obvious. Maximum control, zero rejection, and it's a shift that could reshape not just their love lives, but their future careers. The toll of opting out of real relationships in all their their messiness and glory could be a generation that arrives in the workforce unable to read a room, build trust over coffee, and handle one thing AI can never prepare you for, and that's being told no.
I mean, look, human connection is so important when it comes to just existing and like being a human being. You need human connection. If I keep yawning, it's because chat is now typing the word yawn.
It is funny. So guys, when I'm on IRL specifically, I yawn a crap ton, but you're just not on camera the whole time.
Yeah.
Also, my voice just cracked there, like super bad. And I'm still coughing a crap ton off the show.
They keep saying yo now, and now I'm like, okay, now I keep doing it. They're like, take deeper breaths, your brain needs oxygen. I'm like, I'm talking so much because we only have the two of us today that now I'm yawning more. So I apologize, you guys. I'm not tired, but...
You should just do what I do and have more caffeine.
I don't want to
That doesn't always work either. Continue.
So.
Okay.
So sorry. So what I was going to say is you need human contact. You need human connection. It's very hard to not have that human connection, and that is going to make you inherently more unemployable. I don't know if it's the AI
we'll get into that.
I don't know if it's the AI girlfriends that are making them unemployable. Also, if you can't be told no, like, you need to grow up. If part of this issue is that an AI girlfriend won't say no to you, won't cancel on you, won't make you face any problems in the real world, you are screwed.
Well, here's the thing. Human connection is inherently messy and leads to people having to come into situations that they wouldn't normally come into, right? So when you're going to go out with friends, right, you're going to end up in situations you might not. Did you guys see the post earlier about the 3 dudes out that I posted? A guy took a video of these 3 dudes shotgunning beers from his car by himself. And this guy got absolutely dragged by the internet for basically dunking on these 3 dudes for being out doing normal things with friends. We're getting away from that. We're getting away from a culture where we encourage people to go out and do fun things with your friends. Fun things with your friends inherently leads to things you might not expect to happen, and your workplace is going to put you in that position.
No, yeah, you're right.
Are you dying?
No, but now that they keep saying the word, it's like I can't stop doing it. But yes, I would say that, yeah, human connection, whether it be at a...
I'm sorry. So sorry. We're done.
I'm waiting for the next yawn to pop up. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again.
I'm done yawning.
I'm going to do it again. It's going to come back, and now I'm just waiting for the yawn to come back.
It says the real issue is not that young people are talking to AI, but that some of them may start using it as a substitute for the messy, demanding work of the human connection. It says this person is the head of AI at Opt, whatever, man. Real relationships teach negotiation, empathy, rejection, compromise, and social confidence. AI companionship can mimic intimacy while removing much of the friction. It takes away all of the risk that comes from human connection.
Yeah, thank you.
I
I was waiting for it to come back, and now it's one of those ones where you have to yawn. You can't fully get a yawn out, so you keep having to do it. Now I'm doing that because of you, so thank you. But what I was going to say...
At least we know you're not a psychopath.
This is true. So what I was going to say before I was so rudely interrupted by your yawn was... Now my eyes are watering from trying to yawn too. Is, yeah, you're going to seem like a psychopath and kind of crazy if you can't even have human connection. You're going to look crazy. Also, you can't be told no. There's a lot of problems with this. But to make the insinuation that it makes you unemployable, look, I don't think it's the same thing. Like, I don't think unemployable being directly linked to it is necessarily the issue.
Okay,
I think it's the skills. I think it's the fact that you don't have the skills to interact with people. You don't have the courage to interact with people, right? And like in a way that, like, if you're going to be told no, you have to be a bit courageous to come out and say, look, there's this thing, whether it's good or bad, you might have to say no, yes, whatever. To not be able to face those situations and approach those situations in a way that's beneficial.
So it goes on, it says, reading a room, picking up social cues, building trust over coffee or a conference dinner. These are muscles you develop through practice, and practice requires real people.
Yes.
It's so funny because when it comes down to it, you're the more outgoing person of the two of us.
I am.
Like, you're the one who encourages us to go out and do things.
I am much more social than Brett. It's down to the, I really make the plans in our relationship, whether it be with another couple. So our friends Mark and Alexis, if we're gonna hang out with them, I'm making the plan. Same with Phil and his girlfriend. I'm making the plans. And it's even funny when we do things here where they're like, we're going to do something for the company and we're going to have, everybody come over, which they've done a couple times. It's always Allison that drops the message. Maybe that's a more feminine thing, but at the same time, look, if you can't be turned down or told no, or as a woman or a man, okay, this goes for both genders, but we're saying it is a man that's getting an AI girlfriend, not AI boyfriend, though I suppose could be a girl getting an AI girl. Anyway, I would say that... I thought you were about to yawn. I was about to be so mad. So I would say, yeah, you need to be able to have those skills. You need to be able to build on those skills. And part of being in the job is having to deal with adversity. And there are times when you're working that you're going to deal with things that maybe you are uncomfortable with. Or things that you don't want to deal with, or that your boss is going to tell you no, or you did something wrong, or there's going to be an argument with a coworker. If you can't do that in your most interpersonal relationships, there's no way in hell you can do it at a workplace.
Yep.
Like, I don't understand. And again, I don't think it's necessarily one thing means the other. I think it's the fact that the implications of having an AI girlfriend, not interacting with people, not going out and doing things, having a social life, those things transfer into not being a good employee or a good coworker. So for me, I still don't think I am so shy until you get to know me.
There's nothing we hate more than that.
Yeah, what is that called? Like a demisocial, whatever the hell?
No, it was I forget.
There's a name for it, but
it was just every normal person where somebody's like, I'm really shy until you get to know me, and then I'm really outgoing. I'm like, so you're like a normal person. You're a normal person.
Everybody has a bit of a facade they put on when they first meet somebody, of course, but then eventually you become more of yourself as you're more comfortable with somebody and they don't seem to be kind of weirded out by however you are. Trust me, Brett has seen me at my absolute weirdest. He hasn't ran away. You guys should see one of the looks I did for the thumbnail today that did not make it in.
Oof,
that was a rough one. But yeah, I will say that it is the skill. So, and also, like, fellas, don't get an AI girlfriend. Go meet real women. You're going to be able to then have children, and it's a beautiful thing to love someone and make a family.
Elon's working on that right now so that you can just have one with your...
He needs to stop doing that. Elon, I know you're autistic, buddy, but stop.
All right, let's go to super chats, ladies and gentlemen. We're almost at the third. What did we say we were gonna do if we got 3 crisis
I was gonna
parties?
not make the cringe so bad.
Okay, well we're almost
only
at 3
on
crisis
Thursday.
Parties.
That does not go for like any other time. Just on
just
Thursday.
Thursday. Okay.
Just Thursday. You have to get 3 every time I'm on, and I might even put it up a bit more.
All right. Shane H. Wilder says, "Happy Taco Tuesday, Dasovix. It is raining. It is raining to beat the bands out here, and is supposed to continue for a week. Anyway, can I get a MJ hee hee? Well, a tee hee.
Tee-hee.
Shane H. Wilder also says, "Blonde Brett is best Brett. Even Markiplier thinks so. Sorry, that was an obscure callback to 2023." I don't know, bro.
I don't know about that, buddy.
I don't remember. Username we do not read on this channel says part 2 should be
A horror movie? It basically will be, right? It's pretty much what's gonna happen.
Yeah. There you go. Different genre. All right. Brian Bledsoe says, "My parents typically don't plan to go to the theater for anything, especially on opening weekend. They're going on the first day." Yeah, so I base how mainstream a movie is by whether my dad is going. He went to see Top Gun Maverick.
Is he gonna go see the Michael biopic?
I'm gonna have to ask him.
You're
I'll
gonna
ask
have
him
to
today.
ask him.
He
Yep.
went to see the Bob Dylan one, but we won't fault him for that. You know, everybody makes mistakes. Shane H. Wilder says, "We won't get to see MJ's involvement in composing the score for Sonic the Hedgehog 3 or his Michael Jackson Moonwalker video game. It's a weird game." That is true. He did do the music for Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
I love that.
Shane H. Wilder says, "Olivia having a seizure during a crisis party." We should
clip all the crisis party like things I do
You should.
and make them stickers in the Discord. All the different dances I do, we can make those into stickers.
If somebody wants to create an image of Olivia's worst dance moves that I can
create a compilation.
No. I want a picture image that I can turn into a
sticker for the
a
channel.
sticker for the channel.
An emoji.
For an emoji for the channel members.
I think today's would have been the best days. Those were some of the worst ones.
AB YouTube profile says, "I wonder what group of unmarried, childless men Mary used to inform her take on Pragmata. Catholic priests?"
You'll have to come back tomorrow
we'll have
and
to ask her tomorrow
Yeah.
and see what she says.
Ask her tomorrow.
Brian Bledsoe says, "Brett, the best TV show in the world, Citadel, just released a trailer for season 2. Aren't you excited?" I already crashed out in the chat over that. I'm not gonna lie, I thought they were on like season 8 already because they did a spin-off called like Citadel Honey Bunny, and I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Pardon my French, but it was the most boring episode of television I've ever seen in my entire life. You're better off just watching the movie Gray Man with Ryan Gosling, because at least it had Ryan Gosling in it. Okay? Citadel was awful. At least the 20 minutes of it I watched were awful. Maybe it got better, but it was garbage. Garbage! Okay. Corey Anderson says, "Look, podcasting is technical and hard. Women just don't understand it. Present company excluded."
Oh, thanks, Corey. You didn't even have to say that. It's okay. I am woman.
Shane H. Wilder says, "Damn, you're cringe. Brett is still cool. LOL."
Thanks. Take it as a compliment.
S. Bud says, "You don't want my super chats? I demand cringe."
Oh, well, if you're demanding the really bad cringe, you got to get everybody else on your side, because we're almost at 3 crisis parties, so you better stop them or they're going to keep going.
Shane H. Wilder says, 3 crisis parties for Pol Pot instead of Mao Zedong.
What can I say? It's not going to be Mary cringe, which like yesterday's, I was laughing so hard I heard cringe yesterday. It won't be funny, but it won't be as diabolical.
There's somebody who leaves a comment on like all our videos now that says, "Love the show, hate the crisis party." And I understand, guys, like I understand that like when it comes to like clips of the show, when I try to remember where they are and cut them out, especially if it's in like the first couple of minutes of a segment. I try to cut out the crisis party. But also I honestly get kind of a kick when I see a comment that's like, "I like the segment. What the hell was that thing that happened in the middle of it?" from people who don't watch the live show. But I will never want to get rid of the crisis party because it is there specifically for those of you who have taken the time to watch the show live every day.
Money.
And you guys are the ones that make it possible.
And I mean, where else are you going to see my dancing?
Oh, world's worst dance collab?
Yeah,
Like,
when are you guys gonna? No, I'm not gonna do that. This is PCC exclusive content right here. I literally did purple hair, and I did it last night instead of Sunday night for PCC audience because I love you guys.
All right. Not that Jon Stewart says the crisis party deal feels like a hostage negotiation.
If that's what you think, that's your interpretation.
All right. No, I'm trying to prevent a yawn.
Sorry.
Chief Corey Anderson says Taylor Swift feeds this behavior to her fans. Rebuttal.
Corey, you resident Taylor.
He does hate her.
He just yawned off camera.
I did not.
Yes,
I
you
did not.
Yes, you did.
I
you literally
yawned.
went to me, and then I watched you look at me yawning. Anyway, yeah. Look, Corey.
You know, it's because this podcast is from like 3 to 5. That's what it is. We're like
that's when you like hit the lull, where like at every job you start to like get really tired and ready to go home. Yeah, and we're up, decent, like early enough that like it makes like we don't go to bed till late and we wake up early enough. But anyways, look, yes, in a way I wish that maybe at some point she at the beginning, but I think it's been too long now. But also if she brings attention to it, like I feel like it's kind of a catch-22, both ends of the sword are now sharp. No matter what she does, there's going to be a problem. So I understand what you're saying, but I think your hate for her is not because of her fans. I think you just are a hater, and that's okay. She said the hater's going to hate, and that's you, bestie.
That was a good one there.
Thank you.
All right. Brian Bledsoe says, speaking of Tom Cruise, wait. There we go. Speaking of Tom Cruise.
You give it to me so I can stick it right in your camera.
Speaking of Tom Cruise, Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick will be playing back-to-back in theaters May 13th. Top Gun Maverick in 4DX was the best experience I've ever had at the movies. So I saw today. First of all, that's awesome. And I do want you to watch those movies. You have not seen either of them, and I think you should see them. But I saw today, first of all, like earlier in the weekend, they pointed out that they are going forward with Top Gun 3. I think that's a mistake. I think that Top Gun Maverick was the perfect movie at a time when America really needed a win at the theaters, coming out of, 2022, movies coming out of COVID. It was very much a lot of people viewed it as an unbelievably patriotic film. I think in a lot of ways, the fact that they didn't lean into a specific foreign adversary was beneficial. In a lot of ways, the fact that they stuck it to China by leaving the Taiwanese flag in there was great. I think the fact that Tom Cruise is a master movie marketer and the fact that he wants everybody to come to theaters and he speaks of that so earnestly when he does his previews for the movies, I think that was all great. I think the fact that they put in a legit love story in the movie and ended the movie, as I've said from the beginning, I think the fact that the movie ended with a love ballad was something that felt almost antithetical to what Hollywood wants to produce these days. It was a man who was past his time coming to prove that he was still necessary for his cause, and I thought that was fantastic. I don't believe that there is any reason to make a third Top Gun movie after the success of Top Gun Maverick, and now I'm seeing even more reasons for that because Joseph Kosinski is not going to be the director. I understand that some people believe that Christopher McQuarrie might be the one they bring on to direct the movie, and maybe that ends up being true. I know that he's obviously worked extensively with Tom Cruise with the Mission Impossible movies and other things. He worked with him on Jack Reacher, other such things. But Christopher McQuarrie is a different director than Joseph Kosinski, and I don't think they need to make it. I think that Top Gun Maverick was unbelievably heartfelt as a send-off to that character. And will the third one make money? Yeah, it probably will. Does it need the movie? Does the movie need to happen? No, I don't think it does. And I think it's a risk to the legacy of the franchise. And I do believe that it ends up damaging it to some people. I know some people believe that the success of 1 and 2 will not be ruined by a third one that maybe doesn't live up to the expectations. I don't think there's a reason to risk it. I think Tom Cruise is an unbelievably busy actor who's got plenty of stuff that he can be working on. And Joseph Kosinski and Christopher McQuarrie can all be doing other things and bringing a lot of joy and earnestness to other films. And they don't need to make another Top Gun movie. Just my personal opinion. Corey Anderson says, Brett is right. Top Gun Maverick is the best and doesn't need a third film. No, he didn't actually say that, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry. Corey Anderson says, well, Nick, this is what you get for being in a union. Why didn't that union help you find a new job? You get what you pay for. That is true.
Yeah.
That
also
is true.
abolish
The union does not
Continue.
help them. Carnell says, Olivia, while your services and contributions to Cringe of the Day are appreciated by the crisis actors, you can now be proud you've successfully graduated from serving as Cringe to brain rot. Cheers.
Cheers, bestie.
Greg Duvier says, T Swift does a terrible cover of I Prevail's Blank Space. You read that correctly. Their version is superior. They take ownership over her.
Okay,
Al.
I love Pop Goes Punk. Or Punk Goes Pop. I always mix that up. Punk Goes Pop has been...
Is it Pop Goes Punk
It's
or Punk?
Punk Goes Pop because they're punk artists going
Yeah.
like Punk Goes Pop. I love the I Prevail cover. And I love... I have like a whole playlist that is literally just those
Like
songs.
Framing Hanley did a cover of Lollipop by
Well,
Lil
I used
Wayne.
to really like a lot of those bands. A lot
Yeah.
of those like kind of punk bands. So...
Yep. Corey Anderson, who again didn't say that I was right about everything with Top Gun Maverick, but I bet you he agrees with me. Let me know down below. Says, Greg Duvier, you are 100% correct. The same goes for her cover of We Came as Romans. For the We Came as Romans song, I Knew You Were Trouble.
I Knew You Were Trouble. Dude, that one's such a banger. Oh my gosh, I'm going to listen. That's what we're playing on the way home. Punk Goes Pop, Pop Goes Punk. I don't care. Whatever it's called.
Look it up. I'm curious which one it is.
What is? I'm going to find it on my Spotify because I have a bunch of them saved.
Shane H. Wilder says, no one is going to Old Yeller Brett. You never know, man. He's one day...
Punk Goes Pop.
Punk Goes Pop? Okay. Corey Anderson says, Brett, you said you were going to do reviews of bad movies for members
Yes.
only.
Yeah, well, we
May
didn't
I
know-
suggest the Garbage Pail Kids movie or Trolls 2?
We didn't know we were going to be alone today. We would have watched a movie
we
last
should have.
night.
I mean, we could also record it as bonus content.
Yeah, that's true. Let's let's do that.
We'll do
Sorry,
some-
didn't mean to scream in the microphone.
I don't know if
was
we'll
really excited.
we won't do necessarily those, but we'll add them to the list, but we've got a list.
I think we should do bad movies. You know what? Maybe we'll record one the next time that we're both working. We don't have anything going on.
I'd rather just come in on the weekend and do it. Like,
not
every
this
day,
weekend.
every day when we get in.
Not this
Like,
weekend.
so every day when I get in, it's just like a race to get everything done before we go live. So it's like, unless we, actually, you know what? We could record it after you get done with Green Room.
Oh, it's a long night, but we could always do it too.
That's show business, kid.
No, we could always do it on one of those Sundays. They have people over, and we just kind of sit there on the side when we don't want to talk to anybody quite yet. We can just come here and record a segment and then go back over there. That's what we could do.
All right. Corey Anderson says, Corey Anderson says, can I buy Mocha? My cat Katy needs a friend.
No,
Mocha's not for sale.
she is not.
Corey Anderson says, Shane, how did the Daily Wire stuff work out?
Yeah, Shane. I mean, I haven't heard anything,
Daily
so I
Wire
just
thing
assume
work
you
out.
haven't.
I'm assuming
heard
that's what
anything.
DW means.
Yeah, I'm assuming. I'm assuming he hasn't seen. or
Corey
heard anything.
Anderson, I'm not reading that one. In the vein of Mary, I'm not going to read that one.
I don't know what he
we're
said,
in
but okay.
we're in I am in mixed company here, so I am not reading. I'm not
Okay.
reading that one.
You can read it. You've said worse probably around me, but
I
okay.
definitely have. Not that John Stewart says, damn it, Corey. Well, I didn't read it, so nobody knows what he said. Corey Anderson says, not that John Stewart, fair, but I am right. Also, pretty high right now, so the filter is Swiss cheese.
Oh, buddy.
Brian Bledsoe says, Brett, you're going to take this compliment whether you like it or not. You the man. Keep up the good work at making our background content. Yes, all
Love that.
podcasts should strive to be background content.
That's awesome.
Corey Anderson says, sorry, Shane, as well. Don't tell Mary. Shane H. Wilder says, damn it, Corey. Corey
Always
Anderson
damn it,
says,
Corey.
I am sorry. It's true, though.
Whatever he said.
Scrolling back up. Corey Anderson says, the critics are racist for hating Michael. Yeah, that's how you turn him. You're like,
Yeah,
oh,
right.
what are you
You're like,
racist?
So you're just a bunch of racists.
Yep. Not that John Stewart says, someone needs to take away Corey's keyboard. Shane H. Wilder says, Corey, sign off and listen to some Afro Man. Corey Anderson says, they may take my life, but they will never take my keyboard.
Never take your keyboard, bestie.
Not that John Stewart says, this is my keyboard. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Greg Duvier says, only cute on Tuesday and Thursdays. Thank
you. That was a pretty bad one. I'll admit that. That was pretty bad.
How can you yawn and then in the same period of time? What is that?
I don't know.
It's like in the movie.
It's like an aerobic exercise, but it's a dance.
It's what the lead actor from
the windmill.
It's what the lead actor from the movie Angels in the Outfield did every time he wanted to tell Danny Glover's character that he.
And they looked really stupid, and we laughed every time it happened. And here I am doing it. Look. I will always.
That movie was bullshit and pro cheating, even though I love that movie.
Always dance. I don't care how bad my dancing is.
That's okay.
I do it for the love of the game, and also I don't know how bad I'm actually going to do it when there's other people in the room.
You should get a sticker for your car that says "Dance like nobody's watching."
I should. Look, I'm also here with just Brett in studio. If we had like Tate and Brando here, I'm not sure I'd be just as. We'll see. We'll see on Thursday. We should have someone on Thursday, and if we do, we will find out if I will go
Keep
crazy
and
go stupid, go crazy. You know.
Okay. All right. Corey Anderson says, my favorite T Swift song is "Begin Again." I'm not a hater. I respect Taylor's work ethic, but she is culpable in my opinion.
I love that song. It's off my favorite album of hers.
Pop Culture Junkie says Top Gun 3 looks like a cash grab, sounds like a cash grab, walks like a cash grab. It's a cash grab.
Yeah.
Quack, quack. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my point, man. Like, Maverick felt like a risk in and of itself. Like, it didn't need to be made, and it succeeded against all odds and hit all the right notes. The chances that you're going to do that for a third film, it's just astronomically low. Shane H. Wilder says, I haven't heard anything on the DW yet. Things are moving slow. They are doing a lot of expanding.
Nice.
Corey Anderson says, good luck, Shane. I'll say a prayer.
Did we miss one from Shane H. Wilder? He said, okay, you gave an Olivia dancing DM, or you have an Olivia dancing DM to you, along with you and Mary trying to human for emote. I meant to send you those, but that was last night after I finished working at like 10 p.m. So.
All right. So, Corey Anderson says, not Trolls 2, the 1990 B-movie masterpiece, Troll 2. Okay. I'll look into it. But if it's a B-movie masterpiece, that insinuates so bad it's good, and our list was not necessarily in so bad it's good territory, but we'll see. All right. And one more from Greg Duvier says, Brett is regretting putting a ring on it. Well, the ring might have flown off from all of that, whatever this was she was doing.
It is on there. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, make sure. I think I saw some Rumble Rats here. Yes, from Broody Gambit. I prefer Weird Al's parody of Swift's You Belong With Me called TMZ based on the crazy hijinks covered in the news outlet.
Yeah.
I'm
a Weird Al apologist, okay? I'll take what I can. One time, I don't think I've ever told you this. One time I had to take back roads from Detroit to Grand Rapids, which is a 2-hour drive normally, so it was a lot longer.
Okay.
And my CD player broke in my car, and so I was listening to NPR because I didn't have a hookup for my phone.
Yep.
And they were doing a whole segment where they interviewed Weird Al, and it was and then I also listened to something about Sesame Street.
So there was another message here, another thing on the live chat here on Rumble. It said, time for you to load up Razor Fist and watch his reviews of Michael Jackson's music and critique of the allegations against him. I've never believed he was a molester and never will. I watched that video, the videos he made on Michael Jackson, like back in, maybe I'm misremembering it, but I feel like it was back when I was working like at an apartment complex. I have watched them. It's been so long since I saw them that I don't really remember a whole lot of it, so I'd have to go back and rewatch it, but there it is. Same with his like Hollywood was always red video on communism in Hollywood. Like it's been so long I need to rewatch them. It's the great thing about a lot of his content. It's worth watching more than once. Broody Gambit on Rumble said, Weird Al hired a lot of the same actors from the videos. He did this a lot. His Flintstones parody of Red Hot Chili Peppers was filmed a few miles in the desert from the original location. I love that. I will always love that that Weird Al will always be considered somebody where it's a sign that you've made it in the industry rather than an insult to
that's
have
true.
Weird Al parody you.
We have another one here from Pop Culture Junkie. He said, I like bad movies, best described as craptastic.
Craptastic.
And then Shane H. Wilder, brother, okay. He said, you should see Corn Dog Man for bad movies. Now look, Lily Tino has given a new meaning to Corn Dog Man. So I will just... Okay.
I want to leave Tom Cruise here all the time, but I'm going to knock him over eventually.
You totally will.
All right.
And I want you to read Greg Duvier because you do it the right way.
Greg Duvier says the right lane is for toidos, which I like.
There you go.
Well, who doesn't?
Who doesn't like that?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Who
All right.
among us?
By the way, if you're looking for my personal favorite Weird Al song, as much as I remember those ones, because I had Weird Al on cassette tape back when I was younger, because it was like my brother's old cassette tape. But my personal favorite is Party in the CIA, which is a parody of Party in the USA.
By Miley Cyrus.
It's very good.
Pull.
What did you say?
Pull.
Did you say Billy Ray
By
Cyrus?
Miley Cyrus.
Oh, I thought you said Billy Ray Cyrus. I'm like, did he do
By
the original?
Miley Cyrus.
We will end the poll, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for reminding me.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, it looks like 74% of you believe that Michael Jackson was innocent. And we have a
Interesting.
paltry... Oh, no, I'm sorry, 73%. It changed a little bit at the end there.
But at least it's
27% say
even.
guilty.
It's even today. It's never even.
There you go.
It's even today. Or even, I mean, it adds up to 100.
Oh, yes.
Like it
I was
made
like,
a round. I'm sorry.
I was like,
it
that's
made-
not even.
No, I meant like a round number. Like it made
All right.
a round number.
The chat has spoken. That is what they believe, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Before we go, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I want to ask you to please hit the like button on this episode and subscribe to the channel if you've not subscribed here yet, or perhaps if Olivia's dancing had you unsubscribe, you should resubscribe. My dancing isn't any better. You should subscribe to the channel and share the video out with everybody that you know. Where can they find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me on X and on Instagram at Olivia Dasovic. And what you should do is you should go to timcast.com, hit join us. You can become a member of our members only exclusive Discord. We have a great time. We have pre-shows. I'm hanging out there every day at about 6:25. You guys get to hang out, talk a little bit. I did see someone in the chat today that I don't normally see that I recognized from the Discord, and I love that. That's not cool. You're a real one. Thanks for being here. But I will say it is a great time, and maybe one day we even catch Brett on there every once in a while. So come hang out. That is timcast.com. Hit join us, become a member, $10 a month. You can call in after 3 months, and you can hang out. It's a good time.
Why is it after 3? Is it
After 3 months to call in, or you can do $25 a month and have the immediate ability to call in.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Shane H. Wilder says the movie is about a. Were you not allowed to say? Is that like word band?
The movie is about redneck boat salesmen.
Is that like a band term or something?
Redneck? I don't know.
There you go. All right. If you guys want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC is live 5 days a week. At least it has been historically before my voice started going out on me. I was coughing these days. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, as always, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is a great way to help the channel out. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We will see y'all then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.